To reach the Amarnath cave, you have to climb to 13,000 feet into the Himalayas. At this altitude, the air is thin, temperatures stay near freezing, and the only path forward is carved into the side of sheer rock faces. Physical endurance is only the first requirement. Travelers must also contend with sudden, violent weather anomalies and the persistent shadow of militant attacks, navigating a route protected by thousands of armed soldiers. This high-stakes trek is fueled by an ancient curiosity. According to the myth, the goddess Parvati once demanded an answer to a difficult truth. Why was she forced to endure the pain of rebirth while Lord Shiva remained eternal? Shiva agreed to reveal the Amarkatha, the secret of immortality. But the knowledge was so powerful it required absolute isolation. If any other living creature heard it, the cosmic order would be thrown into chaos. The ascent to this cave serves as a physical reenactment of that myth, forcing every traveler to test their own limits in search of that same eternal knowledge. To reach a state where immortality can be understood, Shiva first had to demonstrate tyaga, or total renunciation. He began a systematic process of shedding his worldly and divine attachments along the trail. At the site now called Palagam, he left behind his loyal bull, Nandi. Further up, at Chandanwari, he unpinned the moon from his hair, a gesture meant to quiet the restless, wandering nature of the mind. As the path grew steeper, he unwound the serpent Vasuki from his neck, leaving the snake to guard the deep, isolated waters of Sheshnag Lake. The final release occurred at Panchtarni. There, Shiva relinquished the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and space, that constitute physical existence. Modern pilgrims recreate this stripping of the ego with every mile. By the time they reach the cave's mouth, the cold and the climb have forced them to leave their worldly comforts behind. Popular folklore often attributes the cave's discovery to a 16th-century shepherd named Bhuta Mullik, who allegedly received a bag of coal that turned into gold. However, historical texts suggest a much deeper timeline. Sanskrit manuscripts and archaeological evidence prove that this site was a recognized center of worship as far back as 34 BCE. Centuries of recorded history place this cave at the center of Kashmiri spiritual life long before modern maps were drawn. Inside the cave stands the goal of the pilgrimage, the Swayambhu, or self-created, ice shivling. It is a massive pillar of ice that manifests without any human intervention. Water from melting glaciers seeps through the limestone ceiling, dripping to build an ice stalagmite. Yet the ice is unusually dense, remaining frozen even above the melting point. Furthermore, it follows a lunar rhythm, growing during the full moon and waning in the dark half. To those who witness it, these structural anomalies and lunar patterns suggest that the formation is governed by something beyond simple meteorology. Myth holds that before speaking, Shiva summoned Kalagni, a destructive cosmic fire, to sweep through the cavern and sterilize it, ensuring no living soul could eavesdrop on the secret. But the fire missed a small detail: 2 unhatched pigeon eggs protected beneath a deerskin. As Shiva spoke the words of immortality, the eggs hatched. While the goddess Parvati eventually fell asleep during the long narration, the 2 newborn pigeons cooed in her place. Shiva, believing his consort was still listening, finished the story, and the birds absorbed the secret. Travelers and researchers have documented a pair of white pigeons living in this cave since the 1930s. They survive in a high-altitude wasteland with no food and almost no oxygen. The presence of these birds provides the faithful with a physical link to the ancient story, a tangible sign that the secret of immortality remains inside these stone walls. For the human pilgrim, the goal isn't to live forever in a physical body, but to achieve moksha, liberation from the cycle of rebirth. The final ascent requires a state of physical surrender. The cold, rain, and lack of oxygen force the traveler to confront their limitations. Inside the freezing cave, the traveler finds a silence that matches the stillness of the mountain air. The cave stands as a physical boundary where the limits of the human body meet the vastness of the divine. By surviving the thin air and the freezing rain, the pilgrim faces their own mortality, making the walk to the ice a personal entry into the eternal story.